Marty, Daisy Thomas with us this
Hello,
morning.
Daisy.
Hello, team. How are we all?
Good.
Lovely
Good
day.
to see you.
Great to be in here with you. Oh,
Without divulging too much of your private life, I know you got a chance to catch up with some mates at the pub on the weekend, which would be a rare treat for you.
it was the Sunday rub was cut short as we didn't have a game to do post that as we were up to Sydney for the GWS clash. So we threw to the Great Barrier Dinner up there and we just wandered down to Lamaro's.
How lovely.
What an absolute delight.
Did you have lunch or was it just all liquid?
No, we had lunch.
How
lunch and a
lovely.
couple of drinks and very civil too because a few of us still had to go to work that night. So
Yeah, well, there's always things to do in
yes.
your world, particularly on the weekends.
Correct. But no, that was a nice change up for a Sunday.
The big news, I guess, is Jordan De Goey heading to the tribunal tomorrow. It was pretty ugly. Elijah Hewitt of the West Coast, who was just a 19-year-old kid,
19-year-old
wasn't he?
Fourth game.
Fourth game.
So there's a couple of parts to this story, of course. The bump, which will be 3 to 4 matches everyone's going with. I went back to round one, the Shane McAdam bump against the GWS player.
It's ridiculous. He was almost horizontal.
Correct. And then, of course, in that same, it was Keziah Pickett as well in those early games. So the Shane McAdam bump got 3 weeks. They went to tribunal. 3 weeks stood. So I think something similar for Geordie's fair. If it went to 4 weeks, I don't think anyone would be surprised, but I think 3 weeks on precedent.
He had an opportunity to pull out of it.
I don't
know. You know better than me.
He did. He had an opportunity to sort of, I don't know,
Change
hit
the
him
shape
with his
of it.
correct, or try and tackle him, give away a free kick. But once you commit in that sort of split-second decision that everyone's saying, once you commit that, right, I'm going to get this bloke, and then he offloads the ball. Well, if you tackle him, you know, he's going to get a free kick. If you bump him and get him high, you're in trouble. And unfortunately for Geordie, when he went through the Rolodex of options, he picked the wrong one, and now he misses a substantial amount of footy, which is a shame because he was absolutely flying.
Yeah.
And if you think about to this point last year when he went away famously to Bali.
He finds a lot of ways to self-sabotage this bloke.
Yeah, but in this instance, it's you almost feel for him.
Well, it's at least a football incident.
That's something, but he's been brilliant. Like the turnaround in what he's done from the New York incident, the Bali incident, and then to come out and play the football he has. The club showed faith. He re-signed, and he's earned the respect back of the footballing community, and I'm sure of the football club. Maybe the wider community still wants some more good deeds done, but in terms of what he's done on field, it's been absolutely unbelievable, comparable to Marcus Bontempelli's season. He's the third favourite for the Brownlow medal at the moment. If you go through the stats, it's very, very similar. So he was flying, which is a shame for the Pies, who now will miss him coming into King's birthday, of course, which is going to be massive.
Massive game.
Big freeze as well. So if you can, get out to Bunnings or Coles or online and buy yourself a MND beanie.
Well said. What do you reckon Craig McRae says to him?
I think he'd be fine. I don't think he would put any added pressure. Geordie would know that he's buggered up. He's, for all the indiscretions he's had, he's not a complete deal. He gets it. He understands that this is just unfortunate. It is part of the game. We've seen a lot of players make the wrong decision on the field in terms of a tackle, a bump, all these options that have come through, and it happens. It does happen. It's just unfortunate, as we say. It's happened to a guy that we love to talk about, but more so when he seemed like he was going really, really well.
The Suns, could they be on track to play their first ever finals series?
Well, they
Daisy?
could. It's interesting because...
They're 11th and they're out of the 8 on percentage.
Yes. Look, we love to pile in to Stewie Jew, and the media does when they're going not so great. Now they're going along nicely. They've had a couple of really good wins in the past fortnight, and they sort of just go in the abyss and no one really gives a stuff.
Yeah, it's very true, isn't it?
It's
sort of
rather
out of
unfair,
mind.
really. It's
out of mind, out of sight, isn't it?
Correct. So it would be fantastic because it is almost finals or bust, I feel, for Stewie Jew and that footy club because you can't continue just to live in that space of 9th to 12th. They're the easiest spots to finish every season.
Well, particularly with all of the advantages they've been given over the last God knows how many years. I mean, if you can't build a list around the opportunities the AFL have given you, well, what hope have you got?
And that's sort of the comparison then obviously becomes to GWS, who in the competition, similar stage, they've made it to finals regularly, played off in a grand final, albeit got absolutely flogged by Richmond on that occasion. So the Gold Coast Sun, I would love to see it. I think it would be fantastic for them. And then that sort of gives them some relevance. If they can come in and win a final, making the finals is the first thing. But if they can win one, they then become a really relevant, and then they have some expectation of, right, this is where we are, incremental improvement. We then have to go up and start to challenge, which, again, with the list and what they're doing, shouldn't be that far-fetched.
5 sliders have been confirmed for the big
Whoa.
freeze.
Talk
Eric
to me.
Banner.
Oh, yes.
That is massive.
Uncle
this morning.
Chop.
Jason Dunstall,
Chieftain.
Mick Fanning,
Yes.
Taylor Harris, and Abby Gelmy.
Oh, nice one.
So there's some fun going on there. And Conrad Sewell is confirmed to perform.
Mm.
Well, that's a shame. But other than that, other than Conrad, I
Your-
think it'll be a lovely day.
Your
Eric
words.
Banner.
Your words.
We'll be back.
19 degrees. It's 5 to 9. Marty, Daisy Thomas with us this morning and back for the rush hour this afternoon as
Yes,
well.
Daisy.
Look out.
This is
Yeah.
fun.
You can't get enough of me. I'll be doing the midday segment as well. And
That's good.
nice.
Brayshaw is, of course, going over for the
World
international test.
Yeah,
Ooh.
the championship.
And you'll be sitting alongside the wonderful Billy Brownless.
yes, which should be some good fun.
It will
I
be.
reckon.
It'll be great fun.
Yeah.
Let's just have a quick look at the round gone by. Melbourne Carlton on Friday
Oh.
night. What did you think of your Blues? Gee, they're under the pump.
They
Caro's
are-
saying they're
oh.
staying at hotels.
They're in
They're
trouble.
not staying at.
It's-
Patrick Cripps is coming out and defending himself.
I'm not jumping on the Caro bandwagon
I
because
thought I could
last time
take
we
you
were
down.
in here, I had a laugh along, and then next minute there was arrows coming at me, and I was in
Oh,
trouble.
I thought you'd have a little go with me.
No. We can go the other member on that show, but we won't go at Caro. Melbourne it was a pretty gross game of football, if
Oh,
we're being
yeah.
completely honest. Skill level bad.
Awful.
It was just not good. But the Blues again found a way to produce very little. 6 goals again. So that was 6 goals against the D's, 6 against Sydney, 7 against the Pies, and 8 against the Dogs in their last month.
God, I didn't realise it was that bad.
Yeah, so for all their great ability to score in terms of Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, who are Coleman medalists, it has really dried up, and they look like they're playing with the expectation and weight of the world on their shoulders.
Well, the blow up in the change rooms between
doesn't help.
between Matheson and the CEO.
Yes,
Or is he the president?
I'm not sure, but they are all the big wigs in there, which you don't really need to.
Change room blow up.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's more for your players.
I
you
would have
think.
thought so.
Yeah,
Let's
jump
leave-
in the boardroom if you want to have a little bit of a spat. But
let's leave the blow ups in the change room to the playing group and the coaching staff. So Matheson's taken his bat and ball and gone home. It's
they need to understand that doesn't help, though. And I know that it's all based on passion, and they think they're doing the right thing for the
Yeah.
football club. But
such bad luck.
as a player, you'd love to have, the unconditional support, and we're not going to be fraying and fracturing in and around that area, because that seems to be a real pattern. And this was the year for Carlton because there was expectation. They gassed it last year on the way home, lost to Melbourne with the last kick, and
Yeah,
the same with the
Cosy Pickett.
Pies.
Yeah.
Jamie Elliott famously. So this was a year where it was all meant to happen, and unfortunately at the minute it is not. And they are a week or two away. Another loss, which they have Essendon this weekend, which talk
yeah,
about another
massive-
opportunity. So
massive
they've had the
game.
Pies, the D's, and now Essendon in the last month. It becomes a massive game, and it's almost stuff the game plan, throw it out the window. We're going back to the old school. Just have a crack and we'll see where we land, because it can't get any worse.
Yeah. What else did you like across the weekend?
I liked what the Pies did.
Yep.
I liked what Port Adelaide did. This was a funny game.
Port thumped them.
96 points up, I think they got at some point, and then it came back to 50-odd in the end. The first half is as clinical as you'll see a football side put a performance together. Zach
What did
Butters
you
can-
say the halftime score
It
was?
was about 100 to 20.
Yeah.
So it was
Thumping them.
we had Ethan in the stats box, and he's looking up records. It was
Yeah.
getting into that sort of
and
territory.
the stats guys love it when this stuff happens. Like the
Gives them
needle
something to
just
do.
really starts to move.
Yeah.
It's what's getting the abacus comes out, and they get really excited.
1896.
Yeah.
ESPN info blows up.
Yeah, correct. You just see the spinning wheel of death in their head going. But Porter really flying. So that's 9 in a row. Looking at 10 this weekend.
Club record.
Club record, of course. And the players that we're speaking about, Zach Butters, Rosie, Finlayson, are playing some unbelievable football. They're still probably a defender short, in my opinion, to stop some of the really big hitters, but they are going along really nicely. Geelong took on the Bulldogs, and that was a massive win. So Geelong now in the 8, I believe, as it stands. I think they've snuck into
They are 8th. Yep.
8th position, which is huge. So that's
Good win for them.
near on season defining victory. They go into the bye now, and then they obviously have a lot of players out. They get some back. They've been pretty open with where they're at, that they expectation is to try and make a final. We'll get enough players back that then we can have a tilt from there. So
couple of nights on the sauce early on in the bye.
yeah, absolutely.
2 or 3.
It's always interesting, the discussion around that. You always say 1 or 2, but it probably leaks out to 4.
Yeah. Wow, I wasn't expecting 4.
Yeah,
But I'll be there.
They're all responsibly.
I'll be there. What are we wearing?
Do it responsibly.
Giants Richmond ended up being a really great game of footy.
Yeah, that was a cracker, and well done to Andrew McQualter.
Yeah.
His first win as a interim coach. Giants, it was a cracking game of footy, as you say, 16 to 15 goals, up and back, end to end, even the last 3 minutes. The goals that were being scored, they had a red-hot crack. And for the Tigs, again, they just found a way to win after losing a couple of weeks of close ones. So we like what they're doing. North Melbourne, that was another honourable loss.
Jesus, mate.
wow.
No.
Are we allowed to say that?
The only thing I said to Will today was don't say honourable loss.
Oh, sorry.
That's the 3rd honourable loss in a row.
Don't say.
I don't know. I mean, it's great from a North Melbourne sort of supporter point of view to see them having an absolute crack. So that is great.
Georgie Wardlaw?
How good was he?
Yeah.
He is tough and hard. And this is where you have to get excited if you are
It's a
North
shock of
Melbourne.
hair, though, isn't it? It's wonderful.
Yeah, it almost looks fake.
It
It's
does.
toupee
It's like-
areas, the way it sort of bobs and goes up and down. And
What do you got in that?
Yeah.
Dry shampoo?
maybe you could go with that look.
It's probably too
Bit
late,
late,
for me.
yeah.
Mate, I know you've got a big day. I know you've got to come in
Yeah.
at the other end of this afternoon with the rush hour. Have a lovely time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Lovely
having me.
to see you, mate.